Hi y'all, today I'm going to show you how I created this super cute, simple fall design that I had come up with. It's been stuck in my head for days and I finally got it out. So let's go ahead and get started with it. First, you're going to start out with a fully prepped tumbler. This is a 20-ounce skinny straight from Maker Flow, and I'm going to grab the thicker blue painter's tape. It's like 1 3/4 inches, a little over that. And I'm just going to place it diagonally, or however you want to say it, across my tumbler. You can see through the video what I'm doing. And I just want to make sure that you can see one side of the tape from the other. So when you're looking straight at it, you're going to see the top covered and the bottom covered. I hope that makes sense. I'm not very good at explaining it, but you can see what I'm doing. So anyways, once you get that laid on there, you're going to just trim up your tape and make sure you don't have any of the hanging tape. Just trim it off the top and the bottom, and then you'll be ready to move on to your next step. Now you're going to apply your epoxy. I am actually going to apply 10 milliliters of Artistry's Fast Set 1-in-1, and I'm using the Fast Set because I actually want it to cure pretty fast so I can move on to the next step. And I did apply a little bit extra epoxy because I'm going to be applying so many different colors. I want to be able to apply as many as possible so it's going to soak up more glitter, if that makes any sense at all. And I'm just going to start applying all my glitters. I will have each glitter listed down in the description box and where I got it from. And there will be some discount codes if you want to go get some of the glitters that I used. And I'm just going to lightly sprinkle all the different colors all throughout the white. And then I'm not going to change out the glitters. I'm just going to let it fall onto my mat and let it collect all the different colors. And then once that's collected, we'll apply it onto the bottom. So just spread it out, sprinkle it all over, and then you'll be good. Now that I have the white completely covered, I am using my Artistry's Tilt Tumbler. So I'm going to pull out the little lever that keeps it in place, and I'm going to tilt it up so I can get all the glitter that I had extra that fell on the mat, and I'm going to pour that on the bottom of the cup and make sure it is completely covered and there's no white spots on the bottom. Then once I get that done, I'm going to grab a scrap piece of parchment paper and I'm going to pat down all the glitter, make sure it's completely flat before it starts curing and drying, and I move on to the next step. And then before it is completely cured, I'm going to go ahead and remove my tape so it doesn't get stuck to the epoxy when it cures. And that way you'll have a nice, clean, crisp line. I'm going to let it sit for about an hour and cure, and then I am going to mix up 20 mLs of my Artistry Fast Set Epoxy. You can use about 50 to 20 mLs. I use a little bit extra because the glitter does soak up some of my epoxy. And I will just apply that thin coat over my glitter, and I'm just going to do one coat, and I'm going to let it sit for about 2 to 3 hours before I move on to my next step. Now that my cup is fully cured, we're going to move on to the next step, and that is filling in the white area that we covered with the blue painter's tape. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my vinyl. I got this vinyl from North 80, and I am going to cut it down into 1/4 of an inch, and I'm going to cut 2 strips. And you can do different sizes. So how I actually determined how thick I wanted my strips to be is I actually laid my painter's tape down, and then I got this thin tape from Amazon, and I'll link it down in the description box, and I just kind of measured it out on the tape of how I wanted it to do. So I wanted 3 glitter lines and 2 of my vinyl lines, and that's how I figured out how thick I wanted my vinyl lines to be, by just laying out my tape and figuring out from there. I didn't do a video on it, I'm sorry, but I hope that helps and you can figure it out too. And so I'm just going to lay down my black tape, and I'm going to lay 1 strip down beside the glitter that I had previously done, because I'm going to put glitter there. And then I'm going to lay my vinyl, and then I'll lay another strip of the tape, and then I'll lay another strip of vinyl, and then another tape. And this tape comes in 3 different sizes on Amazon. And that way you can do different size strips if you want of glitter. I just chose to use the middle one, but you can use whichever size you want, or have how many ever strips of glitter or vinyl you want. So I went ahead and saved a piece of tape by not adding my last tape where that white is. And now I'm going to go back with my tape, my black tape, and I'm going to go ahead and cover up the vinyl, because we're actually going to paint and glitter the white sections. And that's all I'm going to be doing here, is just covering up all of that. And then I'm actually going to put a strip of the black tape over the edge of the glitter that we have already sealed. So that way I can get nice crisp lines when I do the painting and glittering for my little white strips that are currently showing right there. I hope all this makes sense. I'm not very good at explaining, but I'm trying. Once your black tape is covered and laid down, go ahead and remove the black tape that is in the sections that you're going to be painting. And then that way that's completely moved, and then you can move on to the painting and glittering. Okay, now I'm going to paint on the glitter glue from Artistry Epoxy. This is like the best glue for applying glitter. It gives you full coverage and it doesn't dry up really quick. So if you haven't tried it, go get some because I promise you it's the best. And then I'm going to apply Breezy from Diamonds and Dust, and that's going to be my first color. Then I'm going to apply some more glitter glue, and then I will apply the next color. And the glitter that I chose next is Flannel from Diamonds and Dust. And this is a really pretty mix. It's kind of like a burnt orange with some burgundy in there and maybe a little bit mahogany. It is so pretty. And that's why I chose it, because I'm trying to keep the fall colors. And then I'm going to apply some more glitter glue to my third line. And then I'm going to apply Holiday from Artistry. It's their Colorflex line, their glitter line, and I'm just going to apply that there. And then I'm going to remove my black painter's tape while it's still wet so it doesn't pull up my glitter. I'm going to let it dry for 30 minutes, seal it, and then I'm going to apply 2 coats of epoxy. Make sure it's sand and smooth before I actually move on to the next step. So 2 coats of epoxy, make sure it's smooth, and then we'll move on. Now that my cup is smooth, after I apply my 2 coats of epoxy, I'm going to add some tape to the bottom because I'm going to go ahead and keep the bottom of my cup all those different colors. So I want to tape that off, and now I'm going to actually get my thicker tape. I'm going to tape off the lines that I had glittered and my vinyl because we're actually going to paint over that big huge section of all the colors. So I went ahead and got me some leaves. I found the file off of Etsy. I'm not sure if it's still available. I bought it like a couple years ago, but if it is, I'll just tag it down in the description box. If not, just find you some cute leaves. And I cut my leaves out. I had 2 different sizes. One is about 1 inch and one is about 1.5 inches because I want a different size varies on the leaves. So you can either have them all one size, you can have them 2 different sizes, whatever you prefer. I just did 2 different sizes. And then I'm just going to apply them where I want them to be. And once that is applied, I'm going to take it outside and spray it with a coat of white flat spray paint. And I'm going to let it dry. Once it's dry, you're going to go ahead and remove your blue painter's tape and then start pulling up your leaves. Be careful not to scratch any of the white paint because, you know, it happens and it's hard to fix once you do that. Once I get all my blue leaves pulled up, I'm going to get some 91% alcohol. I'm going to put it on a cloth, and I'm going to clean up the bottom of my cup from any overspray of the white paint. And then I'm going to apply a thin coat of my Fast Set 1-in-1 epoxy from Artistry. And once that's done, it'll cure in about 2 hours. And then we'll move on to the next step. And you don't have to apply a coat of epoxy over it, but I choose to do it because I don't want to scratch up or have any imperfections on my white paint. So if I seal it, then I know that it's pretty protected before I move on to my next step, because I always feel like I'm always scratching everything up. So that's all I'm going to be doing, and then we'll move on to the next step once it's cured. So I went ahead and did an offset on my leaves, on my silhouette. I didn't show how I did my offset. If you guys need me to show you how to do an offset on a silhouette, just let me know and I'll make you a video on how I do my offsets. And then I'm just going to apply each offset to the leaves very carefully to make sure I match that up pretty good. I don't know about you guys, but I always feel like I have a hard time matching up my offsets. So I just match them up as good as I can. They all did pretty well. And then once this is done, then we'll move on to our next step. Now I'm going to add my washi tape to my lines. I was going to do the same gold that I did my offset with, but it didn't cut long enough to do my striping since it is diagonal and not straight up and down. And I really didn't want to have to run in and recut lines, so I just used my gold washi tape, and it turned out great. So I did get the washi tape from Hobby Lobby, and I like to use a lot of washi tape when I'm doing my lining because it's just easier and it goes on easier than actual vinyl. So I'm just going to apply my washi tape to my lines and around my bottom and trim it all up and make sure that it's all good. And then once that is done, we will actually seal the washi tape with Quick Seal from Artistry. I like to do it for 2 reasons. One, when I go to apply my epoxy, my washi tape or vinyl will not lift. It'll be completely sealed down and you don't have to worry about lifting. Also, when you use the washi tape, especially the metallic ones, the epoxy loves to kind of repel. It always repels no matter what. So you have to seal it regardless. I just like to use the Quick Seal because it dries really fast and it works really, really good. So I'm going to apply the Quick Seal to all of my leaves and to the washi tape. And then once that is done and it is done, Quick Sealed, I'm going to apply another coat of my Fast Set epoxy, and then your cup's going to be done. That's all. You can add a decal if you want. I just kept it simple and kept it like this, and the customer loved it. So I hope you guys liked my tutorial. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. All the products will be down in the description box. Thank you for watching.